Part 15. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 141. Speaking of which, a district model worker in Yangchuan City is not very conspicuous, but in any case, Yangchuan City is ranked among the top 30 cities in the country, a medium and large city that has the ability to challenge the provincial capital, and Zhuanghu District is Yangchuan City. A relatively prosperous district in Sichuan City. In terms of strength, it is not inferior to some prefecture-level cities, so the weight of the district model workers in Zhuanghu District is not light. The award ceremony for the district model workers was held in the auditorium of the district government. Secretary Sun of the district party committee presided over the award ceremony. After a somewhat boring and lengthy routine speech, Director He of the District Organization Department presented awards to the 10 award-winning model workers. Including Su Ming, 10 model worker comrades from various units, wearing suits and ribbons, filed onto the stage and stood in a row. It's not appropriate to say standing. Among the 10 people, only 9 were standing. The remaining one was in a wheelchair and was pushed onto the stage by the etiquette lady. This person was naturally Zhou Jin. When he saw that Zhou Jin's chest, waist, and abdomen were tied up like a rice dumpling with splints and bandages, Su Ming couldn't help but want to laugh, thinking that this person was also quite hard-working. The injury was so severe that you didn't forget to worm your way into the world of fame and fortune. 5 or 6 ribs were broken. How long had it been since you had not been recovering in the hospital? I took the risk of being discharged from the hospital to receive the award. A slight bump along the way would inevitably cause secondary injuries, and if not, I would have to go back to the hospital bed for several months. As the saying goes, if you are knowledgeable and knowledgeable, your mind will also become broader. Compared with the heavily armed poachers that Su Ming killed in the back mountains and had foreign financial backing, Zhou Jin was now, in Su Ming's eyes, just a local gangster leader with a group of ruffians under his command. It's not a big pressure. Zhou Jin also saw Su Ming, but his expression was not as relaxed as Su Ming. He never expected that Su Ming would also become a model worker. You must know that Huading Fishery Company is a long-established and dominant company in Yangchuan City's fishery industry. It has dominated the freshwater fish market in Yangchuan City for many years, with profits and taxes of millions per year. Almost half of the people in Yangchuan City have freshwater fish on their dining tables. It comes from the Huading Reservoir. Zhou Jin himself has been in charge of it for many years and has very powerful connections in the government. Even so, it took a lot of effort to become this model worker. Zhou Jin knew very well that if it hadn't been for the finless porpoise incident and his serious injuries, he might not have been able to be a model worker this time. This kid has only been around for a long time, so why did he become a model worker so easily? Seeing the calm expression on Su Ming's face, Zhou Jin became angry. Although there was no evidence so far, he always had a feeling that Su Ming had at least one foot in his career. Stepping on his shoulders, maybe 2, well, that would mean standing on my head and peeing. The more Zhou Jin thought about it, the more unhappy he became. Therefore, people must not be too narrow-minded. This kind of thing is like practicing the 7-injury boxing, hurting yourself first and then hurting others. If you are not good at it, you will have to go crazy and die before you can hurt others. As Zhou Jin thought about it, he felt a tightness in his chest, as if a stone had been pressed on him. He quickly took out a few special medicines and stuffed them into his mouth, thus avoiding another vomiting of blood in public. Since they were receiving the award on the stage in full view of the public, although the 2 of them had their own thoughts, they had no chance to talk. Minister He from the District Organization Department, followed by 2 hostesses, walked onto the stage and presented awards to the model workers one by one. Comrade Zhou Jin is an outstanding private entrepreneur. He founded Huading Fishery Company. He is an expert in breeding and a major profit and tax owner, and has enriched the food basket of the general public. Comrade Li Dazhuang, an 8th-level fitter, has been working diligently and dedicatedly at the grassroots level for decades. Comrade Su Ming, an outstanding key employee of the zoo, an outstanding animal protection worker, and a Guinness record creator. While awarding awards with the director, there will be an introduction to the corresponding model workers on the big screen in the auditorium. When Su Ming was introduced, the words Guinness record creator attracted the attention of many people. There are district model workers every year. To put it bluntly, it is just a regional award, while Guinness is worldwide and unique. The two are not the same. After Secretary Sun finished his opening speech, he went to the first row of the auditorium below and sat in the middle. He turned to District Chief Yang beside him and said with a low smile, "No wonder the zoo and Director Wang recommended this Comrade Su Ming. It turns out that he's still the best in the world." Secretary Sun and District Chief Yang are the top and second-ranking officials in Chuanghu. They have worked together for many years and have a good personal relationship. District Chief Yang smiled and said, "Isn't that right? You just came back from the inspection yesterday. You probably haven't watched TV yet." Guinness. The ceremony to give him the certification and award was so grand that it became a major event in our city. Secretary Sun's face straightened. "Well? Then I want to take a look. I'm going to the city for a meeting in the provincial afternoon. Don't look back and ask the leader." "I don't know yet." He turned to the back and said, "Secretary Wang, go back and get Su Ming's Show Me the Guinness Awards video." The award ceremony was not long, less than 2 hours, and it ended after the leader came on stage to give a closing speech. The leaders of all parties left the scene, and the model worker comrades also left the auditorium one after another. They went back to their homes to find their mothers. If they were familiar with each other, they would meet up for drinks and meals. Su Ming walked out of the auditorium and handed the bonus and honorary certificate to Su Ming. The wild man Su Ming has now become Su Ming's personal bodyguard. Clothes make the man. Su Ming originally looked very masculine, tall and strong. Now he was wearing a straight black suit, like a bodyguard in Zhongnanhai. Standing at the gate of the district government, he attracted many people's attention, thinking that some big leader had come. When he took Su Ming to the parking lot, he saw a Toyota Alphard parked in the parking space opposite the Wrangler. Bald Head pushed Zhou Jin next to the Alphard, waiting for a younger brother to open the door. After the last porpoise incident, Bald Head's attitude towards Su Ming had a subtle change from the bottom of his heart, and he had a bit of inexplicable awe for this expert sent by the top. In fact, in the last rescue operation, Bald Head was equivalent to half of Su Ming's subordinates, so when he saw Su Ming, Bald Head was stunned, standing there awkwardly, not knowing whether to say hello or pretend not to see him. Zhou Jin did not notice the change in the Bald Head's face behind him, and stared at Su Ming gloomily across the parking space. Su Ming has lived in the wild for a long time, and his sixth sense is particularly strong. He immediately felt the hostility of Zhou Jin on the opposite side, and he was about to beat Zhou Jin with his eyes. If a fight really breaks out, Su Ming can deal with several people including the bald man on the opposite side by himself, but there are cameras everywhere here, and it is within the district government, so fighting is not a wise choice. Su Ming patted Su Ming on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Let's not bother with the disabled, get in the car." When the Wrangler slowly drove past Alpha, Zhou Jin finally couldn't help it and said meaningfully, "Mr. Su, how are the fish being raised recently?" Su Ming's face changed slightly, as if he was poked in a sore spot, and squeezed out a smile, "Very good. Don't worry about it." "That's good, that's good. At the end of the year, if the fish can't be sold, remember to find me. I still have ways in the market." Zhou Jin laughed. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 142. In El Ferry, while driving, the bald man asked Zhou Jin strangely, "Brother Zhou, why are you so polite to him?" Zhou Jin was in a good mood. Both his expression and tone were much more relaxed than before. He smiled and said to the bald head, You forgot, we put a few crocodile gar in his lake. Look at his expression. It is obvious that the fish production has decreased, and you are still pretending to me that it is very good. You are lying. I want to see how many fish are left in his poor lake by the end of the year. Baldhead doesn't know and has no way of knowing how many fish are left in Shuahun Lake. However, he was working in the reservoir recently and unexpectedly discovered that dead fish often floated out of the reservoir recently, and there were many of them. The entire reservoir had a tendency to reduce production. Fortunately, from the overall point of view of the reservoir, the production reduction is not too much, and it has not had a fatal impact on the entire fishing company. Jojin has not been in a good temper recently, and he is so ill that he cannot stand it, so Baldhead thought for a while, did not tell Jojin about this for the time being, but sprinkled some medicine to treat common fish diseases into the lake. Jojin here was very proud and said, I have helped to get the contract renewal for the reservoir, but it will cost a lot of money. At the end of the year, you guys will go to the market and talk to other salespeople. Say hello to the big traders and raise the price of fish by 20%. Damn, that's weird. The water quality in Shuahun Lake is so poor, but it's possible to raise fish, a boy said cursingly. I guess he spent a lot of money to buy purification equipment. Jojin smiled conspiratorially. Wait, next year, I will get that boy's Shuahun Lake over. That boy's current investment is all for my marriage. Clothes. Trick me. Su Ming drove the Wrangler through the traffic, feeling very good. When Jojin asked that question before leaving, he was clearly inquiring about the work results of the crocodile gars in Shuahun Lake. The 7 crocodile gars have long since turned against the enemy, and now they are eating in the reservoir all day long. They are eating and killing every day, making the reservoir unsafe. If this trend continues, by the end of the year, the reservoir will be full of food. Production reduction is a foregone conclusion. When Su Ming heard Jojin ask this question at first, he wanted to mention the crocodile gar specifically, which made Jojin angry. But then I thought about it, now that I'm talking about crocodile gar, doesn't that make Jojin defensive? Since he is willing to have sex, let him continue to feel good. When the fish comes on the market, look at him still smiling, can't help but laugh. Jojin wanted to annex Shuahun Lake, so why didn't Su Ming want to annex Huading Reservoir? Just relying on the hundreds of acres of water surface of Shuahun Lake will always be a small business. If you want to make the breeding industry bigger, you must have a broad space. It seems that after returning, it is necessary to change the crocodile gar's strategy of causing trouble, and specifically select the big fish that can be sold, and let the smaller ones go for the time being. Su Ming, change places with me. Su Ming drove the car to a dead-end road near the zoo, and then snapped his fingers at Su Ming. Ahi. Su Ming listened to Su Ming and other people around him talking every day, and his pronunciation finally changed. From the beginning, he could only pronounce the sound he, but now he has mastered several other syllables. Following Su Ming's instructions, Su Ming got into the driver's seat, and then imitated Su Ming and fastened his seat belt. Since you are a bodyguard, what can you do if you don't know how to drive? Today I will teach you how to drive. Su Ming patted Su Ming on the shoulder. Su Ming was very simple-minded. He did whatever Su Ming asked him to do. He didn't feel afraid. Instead, he nodded vigorously and excitedly held the steering wheel and shook it left and right. Seeing his appearance, Su Ming felt a little regretful, thinking that he was using his life to teach. Su Ming, this, brother will leave my life to you, you have to take it easy. Su Ming firmly grasped the handle of the car. Before he finished speaking, Su Ming heard a fighting roar, the Wrangler roared, and there was a strong pushing feeling on his back, and he rushed out. When he returned to the zoo, Su Ming was covered in sweat and frightened. Fortunately, after an afternoon of hard driving practice, Su Ming finally mastered the driving skills. Firstly, the automatic transmission is too easy to drive. As the saying goes, even a fool can drive it. Secondly, Su Meng is like a blank sheet of paper and can learn everything very quickly. This is beyond Su Meng's expectation. "Hey, brother Su, let's get a driver." Nurse Xiao Hu came over carrying an empty feed bucket. When she saw Su Meng in the driver's seat, she said hello carelessly. Without waiting for Su Meng to agree, she opened the door directly, jumped on the passenger seat, and took the photo. Patting Su Meng on the shoulder, "Hey, big man, take me with you and go back to the medical center first." Su Meng glared at Nurse Xiao Hu fiercely. Su Meng waved weakly from behind and said, "Drive and drive, take Xiao Hu with you." "That's right, look at how stingy you are, why don't you just use more gas?" The real boss didn't say anything, "But you're a driver and you've grown so big in vain," Nurse Xiao Hu said to her. Su Meng said. Su Meng was probably too lazy to argue with her. Since Su Meng asked to drive, he drove. He looked cold and silent all the way and sent Nurse Xiao Hu to the medical center. Nurse Xiao Hu jumped out of the car and smiled at Su Meng. "Thank you, brother Su, come in and have a seat." Su Meng saw a nurse inside from the door of the medical center. He didn't know whether it was Da Liao or Xiao Liao. These two sisters are the same. They blush and tighten their belts when they see me, making me look like an old hooligan. I don't want to cause this embarrassment, so I said, "Forget it, I have something to do, next time." "Well, I'll go in first, and I'll settle the bill with you on the weekend," Xiao Hu greeted Su Meng, and then rolled his eyes at Su Meng. "Big guy, be more generous in the future, okay?" Without waiting for Su Meng and Su Meng to say anything, Xiao Hu turned around and walked into the clinic with her slender waist like a bucket. On the way back to the waterside, Su Meng always felt that something was wrong and a little weird. When he arrived at the gate of the waterside, he suddenly figured it out and said to Su Meng in disbelief, "I say, Xiao Hu is not interested in you, right?" Su Meng looked at Su Meng blankly, blinking his big eyes, and suddenly unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his black iron chest muscles, and waved his fist in the direction of the clinic. The law of the jungle is simple and brutal, but there is no such thing as love affairs. If an animal falls in love with another animal, the most common method is to conquer it directly by force. Don't mess around, Su Meng was shocked. Don't become a rapist before the household registration is completed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 143. But then again, if Su Meng is like a sharp steel knife, then Su Meng is the scabbard. With Su Meng around, Su Meng can't cause any big trouble. However, Su Meng's incident once again reminded Su Meng that many of his subordinates, beasts, birds, fish, etc., are still single. For example, the Wolf-Dog brothers have never solved their personal problems. When they see the nurses in the medical center, they still look lecherous. The bandit is also in need of a companion and is very lonely. I'm still single. Su Meng didn't have any better solution. This kind of thing depends on luck and fate. It's not appropriate to say that they are all single. For example, several cats have hooked up with each other. Among the 7 alligator gar, one seems to be pregnant. There are also parrot sisters who get together to comb each other's feathers all day long. Su Meng always suspects that they are lesbians. The happiest ones were the honey queen and the wasp queen. They had no shortage of men. There were tens of thousands of bees and wasps in the colony, and they could have sex with whomever they wanted, which made Su Meng very envious. The next day was the weekend, and the zoo held another celebration party to commend Su Meng. The Guinness stage had not been dismantled last time, and Director Song stood on the stage and waved to the people below. "Xiao Su, come on stage and say a few words to everyone." Applause and welcome. Pa 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 pa. The applause was enthusiastic, and Su Ming was pushed onto the stage by Master Peng and Xiao Li. Su Ming scratched his head, laughed, and said to the loudspeaker, "What are you talking about?" There was a good-natured laugh from the audience, and Sister Tong said loudly from the audience, "Just say whatever you want to say. Let's put it this way. Last time when the cruise ship opened, I said I would treat everyone, but there was never a chance. I won't say anything more. After get off work today, I will treat everyone in our zoo to the fishing park. All of you, comrades, come. There will be enough food and wine." The applause from the audience became even more enthusiastic. Director Song laughed, "That's true. Old Dong, you can arrange for the security department to drive the zoo's car to pick everyone up after work. The advantage of a unit like a zoo is that it is leisurely. After the meeting, it's almost time to get off work. Except for a few people on duty, most of the remaining 30 or so people got on the zoo's shuttle bus." Director Liang Shizong followed Su Ming's Wrangler, and a large group of people rushed to the fishing park. Fishing Paradise is not an entertainment park, but a restaurant that mainly sells fish products. As Su Ming expected, Zhao Yun is also a friend of the owner of this restaurant, so he simply invited Zhao Yun's family to come. Zhao Yun is really a good person. Seeing Zhao Yun smiling and greeting the owner of the restaurant, Su Ming felt that his achievements were too small. 3 large private rooms were opened, and dozens of people sat down. During the banquet, people toasted each other. The staff of the zoo came to toast Su Ming one by one. At first, Su Ming could resist for a few times, but soon, his steps began to drift and his tongue curled. Su Ming stepped forward, loyal and brave to protect his master, and began to fight alone. The big cups of 3 or 2 were drunk in one gulp. There was no difference between drinking white wine and drinking water. Zhao Yun and Su Ming sat on the sofa beside them and made 2 cups of tea to sober up. Seeing Su Ming drinking, Zhao Yun almost spit out a mouthful of tea water, his eyes almost popped out, and said, "Your cousin is too fierce, how can anyone drink like this? People from the mountains can drink more." Su Ming burped and said with drunken eyes, "I give you a thumbs up," and then said, "I want to tell you something. Do you remember Jackie who I met in Hong Kong last time?" Su Ming was a little confused after drinking, and after thinking for a long time, he remembered who Jackie was, and laughed, "Oh, Zhang Tianwang. Why don't you just say the Chinese name, old Jackie? I can't remember it at the moment." "If you say the name directly, your book will be banned," Zhao Yun said seriously. "Su Ming. Jackie will go to the provincial capital for a concert tour in a few days. He contacted me and wanted to invite you to the provincial capital to meet him." "Meet me?" Su Ming was stunned, then laughed and said, "Such a big star, he still wants me to go to the provincial capital to meet him? If there is something, he can come directly to Yangchuan. The 2 places are not far away, just a few hours' drive." If you look at it from the perspective of a fan, Jackie took the initiative to invite Su Ming, and he was willing to go. In comparison, his schedule is indeed much tighter than Su Ming's, unlike Su Ming who eats and plays all day. However, when they met in Hong Kong last time, the relationship between the two should be positioned as friends. Besides, Jackie's visit to me is probably related to monkey wine. In this case, asking me to meet him, and even passing it through Zhao Yun, makes people feel a little bit arrogant. Zhao Yun smiled and waved his hand, saying, "You misunderstood. He is not familiar with you, and he was afraid that you might misunderstand, so he did not contact you directly, but conveyed it through me. This time he contacted you because it is related to his concert, and he asked you for help." "Ah, you are not going to be a guest, are you?" Su Ming's eyes lit up, thinking, "Am I going to enter the entertainment industry and become a big star?" Zhao Yun looked at Su Ming for a few times, and said with a smile, "Then sing a song for me first." This. Don't you have his private phone number? Call him after dinner and let him tell you the details, Zhao Yun said. From the perspective of the Guinness World Records, Jackie is actually Su Ming's predecessor. As early as 1KY, with Jackie Yao's 100 concerts, he set a world record for individual singers. In 2007, the 45-year-old Jackie once again challenged himself, holding the Lightyear World Tour and personally serving as the artistic director of the concert. The concert took 12 months, visited 58 cities, a total of 105 shows, and sold more than 20,000 tickets. 1 million pictures, completing an undisputed miracle of the world and refreshing the Guinness World Record created by himself. Today, when countless stars, big and small, rise rapidly and then fade away quickly, relying on scandals and controversies to gain attention, such a record may never be seen again. In fact, in Hong Kong's golden age, every superstar of Jackie's level had brilliance that would be difficult to replicate in the future. For example, Andy, who is also ranked as the king, has been in the entertainment industry for 30 years and has won more than 500 awards of various kinds, setting a Guinness World Record for the most awards by an artist in the world. When Su Ming walked out of the airport with Nangong Yan and Su Meng, he saw Jackie's assistant and 2 bodyguards holding signs at the exit to greet them from afar. The assistant said hello to Su Ming, then looked at Nangong Yan, his eyes lit up, he gave Su Ming a thumbs up, and said with an exaggerated smile, "Wow, Su is so lucky, he has such a girlfriend, he is so beautiful." Ah! Nangong Yan blushed, and Su Ming smiled and said, "It's just a friend, it's just a friend." Before he could finish his words, he felt a pain in his back and was pinched hard by Nangong Yan. The assistant pretended not to see the two of them flirting, and arranged for his men to go to the shipping office to go through the formalities. He took Su Ming and the others to a commercial vehicle at the door, opened the door, "Su Sheng, Miss Nangong, please get in the car, Jackie the planning team are waiting for you at the hotel." After getting in the car, the assistant wisely closed the partition between the driver's seat and the back seat. Nangong Yan finally breathed a sigh of relief, put down the reserve on her face, opened her eyes wide, and asked Su Ming in disbelief, "You really know Jackie? I thought you were joking the whole time." Old friend Su Ming looked as if he was struck by lightning. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 144. In the top-floor suite of a 4-star hotel in the provincial capital, Jackie, dressed in casual clothes, stood up from the sofa, strode forward and gave Su Ming a hug, then turned around and pointed at the other people in the room, and said to Su Ming with a smile, "This is my planning team. There are too many people, so I won't introduce them to you one by one. You will get to know each other when you work. Hi, Mr. Su. Hello, Mr. Su." After greeting several people in the team one by one, Su Ming took out a red wine bottle from behind and handed it to Jackie. "Well, don't say I'm not a good friend, this is for you." As soon as the wine was taken out, the planning team present, including Jackie's assistants, were obviously stunned. This bottle of red wine is a very cheap common product. Not only is it all in Chinese, but there is no seal on the mouth of the wine bottle. It is obvious that it has been opened. There is also a small hole in the cork at the mouth of the bottle. Although friends don't care about the value of gifts, Jackie is a superstar after all, not a beggar. Giving this level of wine, which has been opened, is not an insult. The people in the team and Su Ming were meeting for the first time, and they had no friendship. At that time, one of them looked gloomy and snorted a few times in an unfriendly way. Nangong Yan followed Su Ming, her face flushed with shame, and she wished she could find a hole to crawl into. She had told Su Ming before that if he wanted to give a gift, he should either not give it or buy something decent, because Su Ming didn't care about a few $1,000s. Unexpectedly, Su Ming said something about men's affairs, so old women should stop worrying about it. This gift is definitely enough. At first, She thought Su Ming was joking when he said he was going to see Jackie, so she didn't take it too seriously. Unexpectedly, it was true, and she didn't expect Su Ming to actually give this second-hand wine to Jackie in public. Jackie was also stunned at first, but then he seemed to remember something, took the wine, pulled out the bottle cork, put it under his nose and smelled it. His eyes lit up, and he showed a surprised expression. "This can't be." Jackie hesitated. "Of course it is," Su Ming laughed. "Wow, this gift is too heavy." Jackie waved his hand and called a female assistant. He handed the bottle of wine to her carefully and said, "Julia, put this bottle of wine in the safe. No one is allowed to touch it. You are responsible for keeping it. Remember to take it with you when you go back." Seeing Jackie's cautious look, the assistant and several team members were a little confused. The female assistant nodded, held the wine in her arms like a child, and walked into the next room. Jackie sighed and said to Su Ming, "I asked you for help, but you gave me such an expensive gift. How can you be so embarrassed?" "No, you are just lucky. I just happened to find some more." Su Ming said it easily, and it was actually very easy. He still had 2 or 3 large bottles of mineral water brewed by the old Monkey King. He drank it every day as a tonic. When winter comes in a few months, the old Monkey King can brew a lot more. It is basically inexhaustible. But how could others know the secret? In Jackie's eyes, this gift is extremely valuable. "Let's not talk about this. I have almost done what you said on the phone. Let's have a meeting to decide on the concert first, so as not to delay your business," Su Ming said. Meetings are very boring for men. After Su Ming discussed with the planning team for a while, Nangongyan couldn't help but yawned with her mouth covered. Jackie saw it and waved to his assistant, "Julia, you accompany Miss Nangong to the commercial street downstairs. You are both beautiful girls. You will have common topics to talk about when you go shopping together." The Taiwanese assistant named Julia is also good-looking and tall, but standing next to Nangongyan, I'm afraid she is not a beautiful girl. It is said that there is a scandal between Jackie and this female assistant, but that is their family affairs, and Su Ming is too lazy to worry about it. Which successful man has no scandals? Men without scandals are either unsuccessful or too cunning to settle all aspects. The relationship between women is also very strange. Julia and Nangongyan didn't know each other at all, but when they talked about going shopping, they immediately became good sisters, talking and laughing as they left the suite hand in hand. Su Ming thought, there are world-famous brand stores all over the floor below, and any small gadget costs tens of thousands of dollars. You old woman should take it easy and don't spend all the money on Jackie's halftime concert tickets, so he winked at Nangongyan. Nangongyan glared at him, as if to say that I was the kind of person who had never seen the world. At 8:30 in the evening, the concert was held as scheduled in the stadium of the Provincial Capital Performing Arts Center. Under the concert stage, thousands of fans held up glow sticks and shouted the name Jackie loudly. "Wow, this is the first time I sit in the front row to watch a concert. Jackie! Jackie! Jackie!" Nangongyan pulled Su Ming's sleeve, shouting excitedly, and a layer of fine beads of sweat oozed out of her forehead. She was not actually a fan of Jackie, and Su Ming was not completely one either. For people of their age, Jackie is considered an old guy. But in this grand scene with thousands of people cheering in unison, everyone's adrenaline is surging, and they are unconsciously infected. "Big sister, calm down," Su Ming couldn't help but want to laugh. The guy on the stage had given Nangongyan a full set of Hermes a few hours ago. They were considered acquaintances. Was there any need to be so excited? After much anticipation, a high-pitched wolf howl resounded throughout the venue. Jackie finally appeared in full dress. Under the explosive music, he opened the curtain of the entire concert with the song Hungry Wolf Legend. She turned off the evening light and covered her shoulders. The sparks were intertwined and imprisoned in the sedimentation. The heart was just cut and could not withstand the changes. As the song title, Hungry Wolf Legend, part of the intermittent accompaniment in this song is the sound of wolf howls as harmony. When he finished singing, love will be like a hungry wolf, with a sweet mouth. If you approach and play with her fierce appearance, she will show up. The fireworks around the stage suddenly shot up into the sky, and a landing gear slowly rose in the center of the stage behind him. 7 live big bad wolves squatted in a row on the landing gear, appeared in front of tens of thousands of spectators in the stadium, and at the same time raised their heads and howled at the loudspeaker of Xiao Xin in front of them. The wolf howl in the background music just now was not synthesized music, but real wolf howl. The legend of Fatal Wolf, it was actually a real wolf. After a short silence, the whole audience was instantly excited by this exciting scene. She leaned on my shoulder and breathed in my ear. The high temperature has produced a color that makes people confused. A gentleman can't blow away the warm smoke when fighting the fire. She added her mouth to hone me. The surging love rushed to me and kissed and entangled me as much as possible. But I know that love makes me have no tomorrow. As Jackie tiptoed, singing and dancing on the stage, the wolves actually followed his footsteps, surrounded him, like dancers, and howled to the sky in coordination with the music. The audience in the audience was almost in a frenzy, with countless glow sticks waving everywhere and the entire stadium filled with the screams of fans. The enthusiasm of the fans was almost blowing the roof of the stadium off. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 145. After the song Fatal Fury that was unexpected and unprecedented ended, the stage lights dimmed. Then the music started again, changing to another fast-paced song. A wildcat's life is beautiful but unruly. A wildcat-like woman, laughing and saying you want to get on the plane. This is a niche song that is not very popular, but the audience present are all fans familiar with Jackie, and most people are familiar with this fast song Wildcat Love. Amid cheers, Jackie was covered with colorful feathers and tiptoed out like a big cat. Behind him, 6 cats of different colors lined up in a cat-like manner, following Jackie's steps, twisting their fat butts, stepping on the drums of the music, and twisting and turning onto the stage. If the cats were too small and only the people in the front row could see them clearly, and the people in the back row could not see them at all, then the big screen, which was 30 meters high, presented the scene clearly in front of every audience member. 6 cats, black, white and spotted, followed Jackie's performance vividly, making flexible turns and twisting waist movements. Wild cats, playing like catching. As the song reached its climax, Jackie waved his hands, and several wild cats flicked their tails in unison, all standing up, waving their fleshy little paws at the audience. The audience in the audience was almost hoarse from shouting. Even Nangong Yan, who knew the concert process early, was stimulated by the scene and jumped up, imitating the appearance of several cats on the stage, twisting and shouting desperately at the stage. Wild cats, you've wasted your time, asking how to break free from my heart. At the end of the song, Jackie made a pistol gesture and fired a shot at the wild cats. The cats lined up in a row, fell down one by one, like dominoes, and rolled into a ball on the stage. After the fast song, the slow song came on stage, accompanied by the sad and melancholy piano music of autumn. Jackie's voice with a little vicissitudes came out, and the back figure on the stage had turned into the bleak autumn wind and falling leaves. Autumn is strong in the heart of the departed. A glass of wine, 1,000 emotions. There are many farewells, and there are many farewells in the season of falling leaves. Hold your hand and put it in my heart. A gust of wind blew, and on the dead branches of the old tree, a lonely saker falcon stared into the distance. Damn, what's going on? There are so many shouting inside. Are they fighting? Outside the door of the concert stadium, a row of armed police responsible for security stood, and one of the captains said to his companions, The lieutenant looked back, but couldn't see clearly what was going on inside. He said, "It shouldn't be. It said that the concert was too popular, so the superiors temporarily transferred us here to maintain order. Look at these people. They are just chasing a star. Is it necessary to be so crazy? It's like a war." The shouting inside can be heard from several kilometers away. "If you don't know, you might think it's a riot," the captain said disapprovingly. "Thank you for your hard work this time." At the small celebration party the next day, Jackie raised a glass of red wine and clinked it with Su-ming, then drank it all in one gulp with excitement. Jackie has held hundreds of concerts, but it has never been as popular as last night, Julia chuckled and said, "Thanks to our special planning consultant." This special planning consultant refers to Su-ming. As soon as the concert ended last night, Jackie had not had time to remove his makeup backstage, so he asked Julia to invite Su-ming to the backstage and hired him as the special planning consultant of his team. The so-called special consultant does not have to follow the team to participate in activities, and has sufficient independent time. If necessary, Su-ming can participate in the planning of the team in the future, and the fee will be charged according to the number of times. In the future, there will be many opportunities for cooperation, not only in concerts, but also in filming. Su-ming laughed at the time. Since they are friends, there is no need to talk about the fees. Just give a few free VIP tickets to the front row of the concert. If Jackie needs it in the future, if he can spare the time, it will be no problem to help. Although Jackie usually looks like a middle-aged man, he has been in such a chaotic place in the Hong Kong entertainment industry for many years, and he is very particular about doing things. Since Su-ming does not want money, he signed a check for 500,000 on the spot and donated it to Yangchuan City Zoo to improve the living conditions of animals. "I won't refuse this money." Su-ming took the check with a smile. "Huh? Where is Miss Nangong? Why don't you see her?" Jackie looked at the empty space behind Su-ming with a little surprise. "She was stimulated by the efficiency of your colleagues in Hong Kong. She was working on the news release in the hotel early in the morning." Su-ming laughed. "Speaking of reporters and paparazzi in Hong Kong, their work efficiency is indeed amazing. Last night's concert was on the headlines of several major newspapers and tabloids in Hong Kong early this morning. The pictures and videos of Jackie singing and dancing with various animals have almost spread to half of Hong Kong Island. Nangong Yan's circle of friends includes many colleagues in the media. When she opened her eyes in the morning, her circle of friends was all talking about this concert. Nangong Yan regretted it so much. She was at the scene, but she didn't release the news in the first time. So she didn't bother to attend the celebration party and stayed in the hotel alone to finish the manuscript. Wow, is it necessary to go through so much trouble? Julia, please postpone the afternoon meeting for 2 hours and ask Miss Nangong to do an interview for me. Jackie shrugged and said with a relaxed look. Why not do a joint interview with you and Sushao? Julia said, it's because of your cooperation that the concert is so popular. So Su-ming's trip back to Yangchuan was postponed for a few hours. There is nothing much to say about the content of the interview itself. It is mainly about the process of Jackie and Su-ming getting to know each other, and then the two of them work together to plan this unique concert. However, in this interview, Su-ming's image is not a zookeeper or a cruise boat boss, but under the deliberate efforts of Jackie and Nangong Yan, he was portrayed as a hidden-in-the-city hermit. At the end of the interview, Su-ming also made a suggesting that Jackie adopt an animal. Now the mainland and Hong Kong are one family, and they are very open to Hong Kong artists. Adopting animals in the mainland can greatly increase an artist's recognition by the mainland government and the public. Although Jackie is now successful and famous, he does not need to rush to make money in the mainland, but as an artist, increasing his popularity is never a bad thing. Jackie, Sushao's suggestion is great. Julia held an iPad, lowered her head and looked at the iPad while saying in a very professional tone, After yesterday's concert, the number of messages on Weibo was several times higher than usual, and the number of followers also increased significantly. Adopting an animal now will be very helpful to your development in the mainland. I'm this old, I just want to sing and act, and everyone is happy. Jackie laughed. However, as an artist, no one would complain about being more famous, so the news that Jackie wanted to adopt an animal was soon seen in the media after some planning. On the morning of the third day after the concert, Jackie took a few people from the team and went to the zoo with Su Ming. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 146. As a veteran idol star, Jackie has an undoubted number of fans. Although due to their age, many fans are no longer in their youth, they have grown up, and even become parents. Their attitude towards idols is more rational and mature, and they are no longer as crazy as they were in the past. But when Jackie's nanny car arrived at the gate of Yangchuan Zoo, Su Ming was still shocked by the huge crowds of fans in front of him. The few security guards at the zoo were completely unable to stop the enthusiastic fans. The municipal bureau specially sent a platoon of armed police to help maintain order. Almost all the local police station staff went out and set up a long cordon in front of the zoo with the armed police to stop the enthusiastic fans on both sides. It had only been 3 days since the news spread, and Su Ming couldn't help but mutter, "You're more famous than." Jackie waved to the fans on both sides, winked at Su Ming, and said with a smile, "Of course, has only been president for more than a decade, and I've been a superstar for decades." Su Ming. I didn't expect that Zhao Yun's wife Zhao Qian was also his fan. She was holding Cheng Cheng in the front row of the crowd, waving at Su Ming and shouting, "Xiao Su, let me in, let me in." Zhao Yun was on a business trip today, otherwise, with his status, he wouldn't have to be with ordinary people. Su Ming said to the walkie-talkie, boss, let the woman in the dress holding the child come in." There were too many people, Su Ming didn't notice that the boss was behind him. He was patted on the shoulder before he realized that the boss was sweating and glared at Su Ming, "Why didn't you notify us a few days in advance? You just said yesterday that a big star was coming, which made us so busy." Without waiting for Su Ming to speak, the boss took out an old CD from somewhere. It seemed to be Jackie's Kiss Goodbye album that cost 500 gold. He handed it to Jackie and said shamelessly, "Idol, please sign for me." Su Ming was also speechless. The boss could use his position to get Jackie to sign, but other people in the zoo couldn't do it. Xiaoners who could only squeeze in the crowd. Liao and Liao were so excited that they even forgot to tighten their belts when they saw Su Ming, and Zhao Qian was too far away to hear what she was shouting. Cheng Cheng was like a little rag doll in her arms, and was squeezed to the point of being deformed. Su Ming rushed from behind Jackie to the front, and whispered in Zhao Qian's ear, "Aunt Zhao, take Cheng Cheng to listen to Feng Shui Pavilion. I'll let Jackie come over after the work is done. You can ask him to sign as many autographs as you want, even writing essays, don't squeeze here, or you'll hurt Cheng Cheng. Uncle Zhao won't forgive me when he comes back." "Really? You're so familiar with him." Zhao Qian's eyes sparkled. "Stars are like bombs, and they can blow people up wherever they go." Jackie's team finally walked into the zoo gate under the escort of the armed police, and the fans behind them followed them in large numbers. On the lawn where the Guinness World Records Awards were held last time, several leaders in suits were already standing, smiling and clapping while waiting. Wang Jianxi's official position was already quite high, but he only stood in a position slightly to the left of the center. To his right, in the center of the leadership team, was a smiling old man in his 60s. He looked very familiar and often appeared on TV news in Yangchuan City and even the province. Most of the media also gathered on the lawn. Nangong occupied the best position. She had now upgraded her weapons. A whole team of film crews served her alone. She brought a group of people to the best position under the rostrum and set up several very special cameras that looked like transformers. "Hello, I'm the director of Yangchuan Zoo." Director Song came down from the red carpet to greet Jackie. Su Ming tugged at his sleeve and pouted at the stage. "Who is that leader? He looks familiar." Led by Director Song, Jackie and Su Ming walked towards the stage. Director Song looked around and whispered, "Deputy Mayor Sun, Director Wang's immediate superior." He heard that a big star wanted to donate money, so he came to preside over the ceremony in person. "Wow, such a big boss is here. I have to bleed a lot," Jackie laughed. Speaking of high-level bosses, this Yangchuan deputy mayor is really nothing. Jackie has been in Hong Kong for decades and has seen the governor, the special chief executive and the chief minister of the administrative region countless times. He is definitely a person who has been tested in big scenes for a long time. What's more, the people in their circle are very diverse, from various super second generations to the underworld bosses who started out in gangs. A deputy mayor of a non-provincial capital city would not be so bad that he would bleed heavily. On the contrary, Jackie's popularity might bring some political achievements to the deputy mayor who is about to retire. However, from the perspective of Yangchuan City, the deputy mayor's personal participation in this donation and adoption event can be regarded as giving enough face to Yangchuan Zoo. After taking the stage, Jackie shook hands with Wang Jianxi and a group of government officials in order, starting with Deputy Mayor Sun. Following Deputy Mayor Sun's speech, he gave a very high evaluation of Hong Kong compatriots for supporting the cause of animal protection in the mainland, expressed his most sincere gratitude, and hoped that more Hong Kong compatriots would come to the mainland and Yangchuan City for tourism and investment. As a superstar who has won various awards such as the Top 10 Youth and Outstanding Representative, Jackie is definitely not unfamiliar with this kind of scene. He also gave an impromptu speech in not-so-standard Mandarin. Next, two etiquette ladies came on stage holding a giant check that was enlarged to the size of a door panel. It read 500,000 Chinese yuan. Jackie, Deputy Mayor Sun, and Director Song held the check and posed with smiles for reporters to take pictures. The donation ceremony was just the first step. To put it bluntly, this donation was to thank Su Ming for using animals to help him with the concert. Su Ming did not accept money for the sake of friendship, so he donated the money to the zoo. And the main purpose of Jackie's visit today was to adopt. As mentioned before, adoption is different from fostering. As the name suggests, fostering means taking the animal home to raise, with custody rights, while fostering does not have custody rights. The animal itself is raised by the zoo, and Jackie is responsible for paying money, which is only nominal raising. Before coming, Jackie asks Su Ming which animal to adopt. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 147. From Su Ming's point of view, any animal he adopts is the same. As all living beings are equal, there is no saying that one animal is more noble than another. But from a practical point of view, the meaning of which animal Jackie adopts is absolutely different. Adopted animals, to a certain extent, often represent the star's own interests, hobbies, value orientation, etc. in the minds of citizens. It is not impossible to adopt a crocodile, a piranha, etc., but this kind of adoption, it will inevitably make people think that Jackie likes cruel things in his heart, and the effect is worse than not adopting him. Therefore, the adopted animals should be more lovable and lovable. Secondly, the animal itself must have a certain value and popularity. Wild dogs and cats are also quite cute, but if you adopt a wild dog or cat and hold an adoption ceremony, it will make people feel a bit baffling. The traces of hype are too heavy, not to mention how much are wild cats and dogs worth? You can't say that after putting so much effort into adopting an animal, You can donate 50 yuan a month as food expenses for the animal. If word spreads, it won't make people laugh their teeth off. In view of this, Su Ming suggested that Jackie adopt a finless porpoise. The big finless porpoise family was lying in the aquarium and was lifted up. Jackie was wearing a waterproof suit and stood beside the aquarium with a smile. The two little finless porpoises obediently opened their fins towards Jackie and waved them back and forth, like children asking for adults. Like a hug. Jackie asked Su Ming in a low voice, a little worried, "I'll hold the baby, won't the big finless porpoise be unhappy and bite me?" "Okay," Su Ming used his mental power to notify, asking the finless porpoises to deliberately show kindness to Jackie. Finless porpoises are kin by nature, and with Su Ming's deliberate greeting, there was no problem. When Jackie thought that Su Ming could even tame a wolf and cooperate with him on stage to perform, Jackie would have no problem with the finless porpoise, so he boldly stretched out his hand to hold a small finless porpoise in his arms. The finless porpoise family was indeed very obedient. Instead of showing any dissatisfaction, the little finless porpoise in his arms waved its fins in the direction of the off-stage camera as if to say hello. Dozens of cameras under the stage lit up at the same time, recording this scene. "Wow, it's really cute. It's more fun than Disneyland. If you have free time in the future, I'll bring my daughter to your place to play." Jackie hugged the little finless porpoise and smiled at Su Ming. Next, the etiquette lady brought up another check, with a face value of 300,000 yuan. A total of 800,000 yuan is not a huge loss for Jackie, and compared with the positive impact of this concert and the adoption news, this price is almost negligible. Julia and the planning team have made very professional statistics and predictions before. According to the current media rules, if there is no particularly major accident, Jackie will occupy the headlines for at least a week, and his popularity will also increase a little. Increase. The reason why it is said to be a small increase is not that adoptions and animal concerts are not effective, but because Jackie's popularity is already too high. Not everyone in the mainland is a fan of Jackie, but as long as they have lived in the city, from the age of 15 or 16 to the age of 50 or 60, there are very few people who don't know about this superstar. For a star at his level, because his popularity base is too high, it is difficult for him to make any further progress. It is already very good if he can maintain his status without retreating. The recipients of the check this time were Wang Jianxi, the main leader of Yangchuan City's Finless Porpoise Protection Group, Song, the director of the zoo, and Su Ming, who directly manages the finless porpoise. The three of them plus Jackie, the four of them held the big check and accepted it from the media with smiles. Photograph. Fortunately, it was daytime. If the ceremony had been held at night, Su Ming might have been blinded by the countless cameras in the audience. Just like all ceremonial meetings, after the donation and adoption ceremony, the leaders and comrades present will take a group photo. This position is more particular. There are rows of officials on the stage, and the youngest ones are all deputy department level cadres, arranged according to their positions. Vice Mayor Sun and Jackie stood in the middle, and Director Wang Jianxi could only stand slightly to the left. Director Song could not stand at the core position originally, but because he was the organizer of the ceremony, donors who receive donations also stand at the core of Jackie's side. Su Ming is now the assistant to Director Song, and is only a deputy section clerk, so he consciously ran to the far left of the team and found a seat to the side. Before they started taking pictures, Wang Jianxi whispered something into Deputy Mayor Sun's ear. Deputy Mayor Sun chuckled, and then Wang Jianxi leaned out from the team and waved to Su Ming. "Ah! Call me." Su Ming trotted over and greeted each one with a smile. "Hello, Deputy Mayor Sun, hello, Director Wang, hello, all leaders." Vice Mayor Sun smiled and nodded. Wang Jianxi pointed to a seat next to Director Song and said, "You are a great hero. Why are you running so far? Stand next to your director." The director of the Garden Bureau who was standing there had the foresight to give up his position to the side. Su Ming smiled and stepped forward to join the queue. So in the photo, Su Ming, a clerk at the deputy section level, appeared majestically in a central position just 2 people away from Deputy Mayor Sunday. Anyone familiar with the rules knows that those who could stand here before taking photos, at least they are all department level codders with real power. Are you planning to promote me? Su Ming thought to himself as he took the photo with a grin. After the ceremony, Jackie, invited by Su Ming, came to Tingfen Waterside Pavilion in a low-key manner with his assistant Julia. Perhaps because of the old lady, the water quality of the Tingfen Waterside Lake has obviously changed during this period. Just standing by the lake and smelling the water vapor on the lake, I feel a refreshing feeling, and my whole spirit is lifted. Seeing the environment of the waterside pavilion, Jackie's eyes lit up and he smiled. Wow, if I shoot a costume drama again in the future, can I come to your place to shoot? You are over 50 years old, do you think you are still the age of Hongqi, the East Evil and the West Poison? What kind of costume drama are you still shooting? Su Ming rolled his eyes. Julia was standing by, stroking the Wolfdog brothers' backs, and interrupted. Jackie has many friends who are directors and artists, you can introduce them. When Su Ming saw the Wolfdog brothers running over, his eyelids jumped. This pair of beasts, it's okay that they bullied the little nurse last time, after all, they are all members of the zoo, but don't act like hooligans again at this time, I will be embarrassed in Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan. He kicked the Wolfdog brothers with his foot, scared them away, and then smiled and said to Julia, okay, remember to invite more beautiful female stars. Then he raised his chin towards the waterside pavilion, but now, Jackie, you should hurry up and sign for them. Before he finished speaking, the door of the waterside pavilion opened, and a large group of people rushed out. Idle, Wang Hao led the way, like a crazy big meatball, rumbling towards this side. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 148. Shameful, so shameful. Su Ming felt ashamed when he thought about the situation in the waterside pavilion yesterday. Normally, there were only 5 or 6 people there, but when he saw a celebrity, all his moral integrity was immediately thrown into the water army lake. From the beginning, he also arranged for Zhao Qian and zoo employees to wait in the waterside pavilion. These people were not all Jackie's fans. In fact, to a certain extent, the era of the 4 heavenly kings has passed. But you can't see such a big star all the time. Since you come to the zoo, it would be a shame if you don't get an autograph or something. I don't know who informed Wang Hao, probably Wang Jianxi, and Wang Hao also ran over. Speaking of which, Wang Hao is not a fan of Jackie. He is just a well-intentioned passerby. He is a die-hard fan of Qi Ling. But this kid is born to love liveliness. He didn't say anything about coming here, but actually posted a message in the university group, saying that Su Ming had captured a wild King Jackie. If you want to touch the idol up close, please come to the zoo. The spread of things like friend circles and groups is quite terrifying. This message quickly spread from university classmate groups to professional groups, followed closely by alumni groups. The news that Jackie was coming to Yangchuan had already been deliberately planned by Su Ming and Julia. The news spread like wildfire and everyone in Yangchuan City knew about it, so no one in the group doubted the authenticity of the news. Now, a large group of people, whether they knew each other or not, as long as they were guys from Su Ming and his school, gathered at the entrance of the zoo. The security guards at the zoo all knew Wang Hao. They knew that this meatball was Su Ming's good friend and director Wang's son, so they naturally did not dare to stop him. Wang Hao led a large group of people straight to Feng Shui Pavilion. It stands to reason that if so many people rushed into Feng Shui Pavilion, they would have been besieged by countless wasps, and no one would be able to escape alive. Fortunately, Gozi had become more intelligent recently. When he saw this situation, he notified Su-ming first, thus avoiding the disaster of annihilation for this group of alumni. Even so, when they rushed towards Jackie, Su-ming could still vaguely see big bumps on the foreheads of several people. It was probably because they were too noisy in the waterside pavilion and Urgoza sent troops to warn them. After surrounding the idol at close range, the group retreated, revealing their true colors. It's just asking for an autograph. Why do you have to take off your shirt and let someone sign your belly? It's just a signature on the belly. After all, the belly is within the scope allowed by the State Administration of Radio, Film, and Television. It is considered vulgar at best, but not a violation. But that female alumna who graduated in unknown year, what are you holding in your hand? Do you think that without the shoulder straps, I wouldn't be able to recognize what those two round semicircles are for? There are still children here. How dare you let a big star sign your 34 a bra? Although the position of the signature is unsightly, it is not physical contact after all. But you guys, pouting and insisting on asking for Jackie from your relatives, isn't that good? No matter what they say, they are all married men. Their 2 children were married in ancient times, and there is also a scandalous assistant behind them. It might be a little inappropriate for you guys in their 20s to pester them. As for a certain male classmate, he also followed suit and insisted on asking for a kiss. Su-ming didn't bother to say anything about him and just jumped into the lake. Fortunately, Jackie has seen big scenes, and this is not the first time he has seen this level of enthusiasm, so he finally managed to deal with it. There was a bang dong dong sound, and Su-ming thought there was a cotton player mixed in. After a closer look, it turned out that he was known as the Golden Voice after college. At every school party, he would go on stage with his guitar and sing, earning countless eyeballs. Brother Zyosha appeared gracefully. Brother Zyosha insisted on pulling Jackie to listen to him cover a song by Lee Zyonglin. Brother, what do you think of my voice? Can I participate in the talent show? Brother Zyosha asked Jackie expectantly. Brother Zyosha, who was sought after by thousands of girls on campus, is now living in bars and nightclubs, and is quite unsuccessful. Jackie was stumped this time and couldn't say anything directly. After thinking about it, he patted Brother Zyosha on the shoulder seriously. You can obviously rely on your looks to make a living, why do you have to fight for your strength? Brother Zyosha was lonely holding his guitar, sitting by the water and feeling sorry for himself. He didn't know whether he was passing through the lake, admiring his appearance that he could make a living from, or whether he was preparing to jump in and never float again. Su-ming could endure any sign, ask for a kiss, or show off his singing voice while watching. Although it was a bit embarrassing, in any case, it was because of his love for Jackie. But in the end, the behavior of some little girls really left Su-ming speechless. Don't be anxious. If Su-ming doesn't leave today, I won't leave. I will sign autographs for everyone. Jackie took the pen and asked the 3 little girls with a smile, where do you want me to sign? A little girl raised her head, her face was flushed, her big eyes blinked and she said, Uncle Jackie, do you know Gu Tianel? I like him so much. Wu Yan is the most handsome guy. Uncle Jackie, can you help me get an autographed photo of him? The last girl said cautiously but full of expectation, if it is convenient, Penyuyan and Wangdalu are also my favorite brothers. The pen in Jackie's hand stopped in mid-air. Wang Hao also followed suit, sisters Hilling. Go, go, go. Su-ming kicked him away. Looking at the innocent little girls, if it weren't for the fact that they were schoolmates, Su-ming would have wanted to have 2 big wolfhounds hum these 3 silly girls who were causing trouble. Jack laughed and said that if he met them in the future, he would ask for their autographs, or if they came to Hong Kong in the future, he would take them to play. After tossing around in the waterside pavilion until the afternoon, Julia looked at the time and reminded Jackie that the time was up and he would miss the flight if he didn't leave. Only then did Jackie get away from the siege of these real fans and fake passers-by. You've suffered today, Su Ming said seriously when he sent him to the car. Haha, there's a secret, do you want to hear it? Jackie raised his eyebrows. Go ahead, Su Ming said with a smile. Jackie laughed, if I hadn't seen the enthusiasm of your classmates today, I would have thought that I was out of date in the eyes of young people. No way, big brother. It's all because of you. Since I met you, you have never shown the enthusiasm of meeting an idol. Every time you see me, you treat me like an ordinary person. You have never even asked me for an autograph. I really thought I was out of date. Then big brother, please sign for me, Su Ming laughed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 149. He again. Zhou Jin, who was watching the program on TV, couldn't help but twitch his eyelids when he saw the donation ceremony. Su Ming's appearance rate during this period was too high. Although there was no direct danger to Zhou Jin, it was not a good thing after all. From the director, he knew that the zoo would be restructured next year, so Zhou Jin was ready to do a big job this year, save some money, and use some connections next year to annex the zoo's Shuahun Lake. He was an ambitious or aspiring person. The fishery company was just the beginning of his career. In his opinion, raising fish in Shuahun Lake would not make much money, but the location of Shuahun Lake was particularly good, echoing with Huading Reservoir, and it was a piece of enclave embedded in the zoo. If Shuahun Lake was taken, and the zoo was restructured in the future, he would have a reason to erode the zoo's territory step by step. The zoo was truly a feng shui treasure land, with mountains behind and water in front. Once the time was right and enough funds were raised, Zhou Jin could become a real estate developer. No matter how big the fish farming industry is, it is hard work to raise fish for a lifetime. But real estate, or land trading, is well known for its huge profits. I have never heard of anyone who has become the richest man in the country through aquaculture. At most, he can become the richest man in the village. But in China, real estate has unlimited possibilities. If it is well managed, you can become one of the people standing at the top of the national wealth chain within a few years. If Su Ming really becomes a celebrity, there will be great trouble in swallowing up his Shuahun Lake business in the future. Bald Head accompanied Zhou Jin to watch TV, but his thoughts were completely different from his boss. Bald Head didn't have any big ambitions. His biggest ideal was to follow a rich and powerful boss, have no worries about food and drink, and show off his power. Back then, he joined the most powerful group in the country and worked as an urban management officer for a while, but was soon cleared out of the revolutionary team. Later, he followed Zhou Jin, but after a few years of good life, he met Su Ming again. When he saw Su Ming and the city leaders standing together for a photo, the bald man took a deep breath and thought to himself that the boy really had someone above him. Fortunately, he didn't offend him to death. Everyone had their own concerns at Huading Reservoir, but Su Ming was very free. The park assigned him a separate office, where he kept fish, slept and read newspapers all day. Just as the planning team had expected, Jackie's special concert and the news of adopting animals quickly dominated the headlines of major entertainment media for half a month. It was not until more than 2 weeks later that it was replaced by the news of a famous male star in China getting married. Being replaced does not mean being forgotten. Due to a series of reports related to animals, a wave of animal fever has been set off. Celebrities, especially those in the entertainment industry, seem to have found a way to increase their popularity. The most popular thing on social media now is to show pets. In the craze of showing pets everywhere, some inappropriate scenes also appeared. A female star who became a mother in Singapore posted photos of her baby as usual, which immediately attracted doubts and abuses, saying that she had no love. These people are all crazy. Is it because the material conditions are better now, so there are more psychopaths? After seeing this news, Su Ming also had the same feeling as Jackie at the beginning. Is he out of date? What's in the minds of these young people now? Is it wrong for a mother to post photos of her son? After Jackie, pet adoption soon became popular. There is not only one zoo in Yangchuan in the world. There are several in Hong Kong, as well as Disneyland. Major cities in the mainland also have their own zoos. Many facilities and animal species are better than those in Yangchuan Zoo. Then there are constant news that a certain star has adopted a certain animal, a certain big shot has an animal son or daughter, and a certain comedian has sworn brotherhood with a Siberian tiger. The same trick, the first time it is used, it is a genius, the second time it is used, it is a smart person, and the third time it is a mediocre person. If it is used 30 times, it is a bit disgusting. Although there are more and more similar news, Su Ming found that the popularity is not as high as Jackie's adoption of the Yangtze River dolphin in Yangchuan that day. Not only that, every time there is a new adoption news, it will always mention the adoption event in Yangchuan City, which is equivalent to another free publicity. Animals are everywhere in the world. If you want to adopt something, you don't have to come to Yangchuan Zoo specifically. But if you want to tame animals to help with performances, especially live performances without special effects like concerts, then there is only Su Ming in the country, no one else. There are no secrets under the sun, and Su Ming didn't want to keep this a secret. When Jackie made the headlines, the entertainment industry soon knew about his special consultant. There was a capable person in Yangchuan Zoo. Su Ming has received many invitations recently, hoping to bring animals to help with performances. Even Jackie himself called once, saying that he had a friend in the Hong Kong entertainment industry who wanted to ask Su Ming for help. However, Su Ming declined one by one. First, there are limited types of animals suitable for performances. If a tiger is really brought on stage, various procedures will be very troublesome, and it is easy to be attacked by animal protection organizations. Second, the reason why animal concerts attract attention is because they are rare. If there are 2 or 3 days, it will gradually become like a circus performance, which is too low class. Therefore, the current reputation of Yangchuan Zoo can almost be described as the 4 words in the heyday. At least in the domestic animal circle, it seems that no zoo can reach the current popularity of Yangchuan Zoo, which can almost be compared with several world-famous entertainment spots such as Hong Kong Disneyland and Songjiang Disneyland. Director Song recently applied to the higher authorities to have Yangchuan Zoo rated as a 5, a national scenic spot. This selection is not something that the Yangchuan municipal government can decide. It must be reported to the higher authorities, and whether it can be approved depends on the decision of the higher authorities. In fact, including Su Ming, from the zoo staff to Wang Jianxi and the deputy mayor's son, everyone knows the result clearly in their hearts: absolutely impossible. No matter how famous Yangchuan Zoo is, due to problems such as venues and hardware conditions, there is still a hard gap from the 5, a scenic spot. 5, a scenic spots are generally awarded to large tourist areas with many attractions. There is only one theme park with a limited area like a zoo that has been rated as 5 in the country, the Forbidden City. But if the higher authorities do not approve it, it does not mean that the application cannot be made. The crying child gets the milk. Taking advantage of the current popularity of the zoo, it is necessary to show up more on the higher authorities. This is the real purpose. The real purpose is not to drink. The application for the 5, a scenic spot has been approved. After a long string of official jargon, the conclusion is that it does not meet the requirements of a 5, a scenic spot. Okay, both Su Ming and director Song laughed happily. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 150. Along with the application for 5, a scenic spot, there is also a report on suggestions on the preparation for the release of zoo animals into the wild. The difference is that this report is sent to the city for discussion, and the Yangchuan municipal government can study and approve it. The report uses the wolf cub greyfang and the saker falcon as examples to analyze the feasibility of the release work, and puts forward that the biggest problem now is the site problem. There must be a place similar to a nature reserve, which is not allowed to be entered by outsiders at will and managed by the zoo, so that the animals can initially adapt to the wild environment. In this way, the next generation of animals grown in the nature reserve can be directly released into nature. Although it is not said explicitly, everyone knows that the back mountain of the zoo is close to the zoo and is also a branch of the Kinling Mountains. It is the most suitable location for both management and future release work. At the discussion meeting of the Municipal Party Committee, the retiring vice mayor's son simply proposed that the back mountain was a barren mountain anyway, so it was better to give it to the zoo for wild release, and the zoo would be responsible for the environmental protection of the back mountain. If it did a good job in the future, it could also rely on the resources of the back mountain to participate in the National 5 Scenic Spots election, killing two birds with one stone. Don't underestimate the 5 Scenic Spot. A well-managed 5 Scenic Spot can greatly boost the tourism economy of a city. Just like the compensation for the zoo's failure to be rated as a 5 Scenic Spot this time, the Municipal Party Committee meeting finally decided that the zoo could try out wild release in the back mountain. This is a rather vague resolution, and it does not clearly assign the entire back mountain to the zoo. After all, back mountain is a rather vague term. Strictly speaking, it includes dozens of hills, several large mountains, and directly leads to the Kinling Mountains, rather than a small hill of dozens or hundreds of acres. Even if this area is not used for the time being, it is impossible to give such a large area directly to the zoo, and even the mayor does not have this right. This is like no matter how big a leader is, he can't say that the Greater Kingan Range will be assigned to a certain unit. The so-called back mountain of the zoo is not as famous as the Greater Kingan Range, but its nature is the same, both are a mountain range. But with this resolution, the zoo can at least use the back mountain legally. This is the best and biggest benefit I can get for the zoo before I retire, Director Song said to Su Ming earnestly, but you also have to understand that the back mountain can only be used for wild release now. Strictly speaking, it is not the asset of the zoo. Su Ming understood what Director Song meant and smiled. Director, don't worry, the road must be taken step by step, and the meal must be eaten bite by bite. Now it is just the first step. Since our hands have reached the back mountain, this is the first step. If we have the opportunity in the future, we will eat up the back mountain bit by bit. I have never thought about making money in my life. I am old and greedy. Director Song smiled a little self-deprecatingly, but there is nothing he can do. Now facing the reform, if he can get more, the capital after the reform will be larger in the future. Both these animals and the people who follow him can benefit from it. Then you are busy, I will go to the aquarium to take a look. The city's overall plan is to build an aquatic life protection center next to the Shuahun Lake inside the zoo, but things have to be done step by step. If it is too big at the beginning, it is easy to make it like the Provincial Protection Center, which becomes an empty shell with only appearance, so at present, only an aquarium with relatively complete functions has been built. Of course, the key is that there is no money. The family of 3 finless porpoises and the giant salamander are the first batch of visitors. The giant salamander is the world's #1, and the finless porpoise family is a star animal. In just 1 week after the opening of the museum, the number of visitors has exceeded 30,000. 30,000 people are not many. Some nationally famous attractions have a daily flow of more than this number of people on holidays. But before Su Ming came to Yangchuan City Zoo, the monthly flow of people was only between 15,000 and 20,000. So no matter what, even if the flow of people decreases in the future, the ticket revenue brought to the zoo will also roll upward on the original basis. So much so that Su Ming and Director Song discussed not to raise the zoo ticket price at all, and even to reduce the ticket price at an appropriate time. As long as the total number of people increases, the total income will naturally rise. The main part of the aquarium is connected to the Shuahun Lake, and the finless porpoises live in a new small artificial lake. However, there are two transparent glass walls for visitors to watch. In order to avoid being too monotonous, the zoo also bought a lot of various fish and put them in it to live with the finless porpoises. There is a large artificial cave behind the aquarium. A circular walkway is built above the cave, and there are artificial waterfalls and artificial pools below. The style is very similar to the cave that Su Ming saw in the back mountain. Visitors can see the giant salamanders living below on the walkway. Seeing Su Ming coming, the giant salamander expressed dissatisfaction with some depression. Gugugu. In fact, the giant salamander not only learns to cry like a child, but also makes some frog-like sounds when angry, and it can also be angry in waves, which looks very interesting. If you are not satisfied, I will put you in the back mountain again, Su Ming said with a smile. The giant salamander immediately became obedient. The older it gets, the less courageous it becomes. After being almost killed last time, the giant salamander has become very precious about its life and does not want to be in such a precarious environment again. All in all, it is more comfortable and safe to stay in the zoo, and people are offering food to it. This guy is a bit greedy. Just like people, after keeping warm, he starts to think about that. Has this old thing lived alone for decades, or even hundreds of years? After living a stable life, he seems to feel too lonely and wants to find a companion. If you don't mind cross-species, it's easy. I'll just get you a few big fish. The old giant salamander looked at Su Ming blankly with his dark eyes, as if he was looking at an idiot. Speaking of which, it is not easy to find a companion for the old giant salamander. There are artificial breeding farms in China, but generally female giant salamanders are used as breeding fish, which are very expensive. More importantly, although the old giant salamander is very obedient in front of Su Ming, and mainly shows cute attributes, its personality is actually very irritable. If the female giant salamander is too small, it is easy to be bitten to death by it. Su Ming patted its head, so, you have to change your temper first. When you know how to cherish women, I will find a companion for you.